What's good, y'all, and welcome to my review for the 8th episode of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Stone Ocean. Bro, yo, this was a phenomenal episode, man. Did anyone else get, like, Venom vibes from this episode, especially with FF, which, what does that stand for? Fantastic Four? But yeah, FF, I swear, I got so many Venom vibes from him with, like, especially how he gets offended when he's called Plankton. But anyway, guys, this was a phenomenal episode, a lot of great shit. Jolene finally got one of Star Platinum's discs. So yeah, man, let's just jump right in. So we start this episode off where we left off last week, where you have Hermes, accusing everyone about like, yo, stop the enemy, who's the enemy, blah 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 blah. So then after Hermes knows that one of them is the enemy stand user, eventually then all the other three prisoners start accusing each other of like, oh, you're the one that did it, you're the one that did it, and then Jolene mentions that how she saw when she beat up the stand, that she saw some blood coming down its nose, that she knows one of the other guards or one of the other prisoners stumbling a bit. And we notice that the one with the black hair actually has blood coming down her nose. So and then she says like, "Oh no, it's nothing. She punched me. The black chick. She punched me." And then she's like, "No, because then her finger is bleeding." And she's like, "No, I just scratched my hand against a rock or something," and they're all just accusing each other about this. And eventually, Jolene just says, "Fuck this," and just punches the chick with the black hair. And Herman's like, "Oh, how did you know?" She's like, "I didn't. So I'm just gonna knock every one of you out." So then she goes to the next one. I think she went for the black chick next, or it might have been the chick with a shaved head, but. The other one, which I believe was a black chick, grabs her arm, and then you start seeing the menacing kanji appear, and that's when we find that and then her voice starts to change, and that's when we realize that she is the one that's actually the stand user. But we find out that actually all three of them are the fucking stand user, because this black goo comes from all of them, because the stand just like took over all their bodies, straight up body snatched these motherfuckers, and then like use their bodies to just, I guess, split across their stand powers to eventually come together as one, which we reveal is the stand. And we find out that actually the ones that were there from the start was the chick with the black hair and the shaved hair chick, I think is what the stand said, if I remember correctly, is what FF said, if I remember correctly. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But so we find out that, and then once it's about time for FF to finally reveal itself, the thing splits open, revealing its true form, man. That looked pretty cool. I'm very curious to know how Rocky did that in the manga, man, because it was very horror-esque, with like the skin splitting open, revealing its true form. It reminded me of John Carpenter's thing, man. So that was cool. The design itself, I think, looks cool. And then, shout out to whoever voices FF. I really dug their performance throughout this episode, man. So you have that with the thing splitting open and revealing its stand power. And so after that, then actually the CDs start running, and they actually go back into FF's head, I guess. And he says, "My body has been split, has now been brought together as one." And and this is also when we find out because they're trying to figure out what this thing is, and Jolene explains that this thing is actually a living organism that was given intelligence or whatever from the CDs. And so Hermes thinks that it might have been just all those like little plankton things all mushed together, and then obviously to create this creature, and gave it intelligence and the stand and everything, yada yada yada. So then. Then this is when then after Irma says that, FF is like, "My name is FF. You will call me by my name or not at all." Oh my god! And then later on, and then the thing continues going on about some shit about some philosophers saying that intelligence has been around since before the Big Bang, yada yada. And I'm like, bro, am I watching JoJo or fucking The Matrix Reloaded? The fuck. So after all that going on, eventually I believe it was Hermes, then straight up calls the thing a parasite. Yes, a parasite. And then FF once again gets more offended. I said, "I told you my name is FF, and it is very clear that I am more intelligent than you." And then the thing just runs off to the shed to get the CDs. Like, yo, I gotta say, we also find out. I almost forgot to mention this. We also find out how this creature works. That basically the catch of this creature is that because it needs water to survive, it jumps from body to body, consuming the water it is before eventually going to the next one. And the body husks up, like we saw in earlier in the episode with the other two people that FF use as I guess hosts. I guess very much akin to Venom in the movies, where Venom has to stick to the right host, otherwise it just consumes its the host's internal organs. Which I gotta say, I have noticed when I watched it, I noticed something very interesting. Is that there is a lot of similarities I've noticed between FF and movie Venom. How Venom is, and like the lore of Venom, and how the symbiote is shown off in the Venom films, is very similar to FF. Now, I don't know. Now, granted, this could just be a complete fucking coincidence, to be fair. Because only JoJo recently got popular, and the manga still isn't even available yet in English. I think Viz is still working on part 5, localizing that and releasing that, and they haven't even gotten to part 6 yet. So this very easily just could be a major coincidence with how many similarities that they have, like with how the host thing works, with them having to jump from host to host to consume, or to them both getting offended from being called parasites, or not just by not using their names. Like, the similarities are definitely, like I said, it could just be a coincidence. It could have just been a coincidence between Araki and whoever the writers were for the Venom films. Or maybe one of the writers that worked on Venom, I don't know how many they were, was actually a fan of JoJo, maybe knew about FF in part 6, and decided to integrate that a little bit of the bits and pieces of it from that into movie Venom. Could have been, like I said, that could be the case. Maybe there was some inspiration taken from JoJo, or like I said, it could have been a complete coincidence, which I'm assuming probably was. It was just a complete coincidence, but I still know it was kind of interesting that they share some similarities. Anyway, so while FF is running over to get the CDs, Jolene is about to go run after him, but then FF Stan is then starting to drag the guard into the ocean, obviously, so then they're going to get within the 5 meters from the 50-meter thing, and their wrists are going to fucking explode. So they obviously have to protect the guard so that they don't worry about the 50 meters thing and their wrists blowing up and losing an arm and everything. So instead, what Jolene does, she chases after FF while Hermes takes care of the CD. While Hermes takes care of the guard and protects it. So Hermes gets in there. She eventually what she manages to do is just fully embraces her stand, or fully conjures up her stand or whatever, goes on there to start punching the stand, but then it eventually catches her fist, chops it right off, and then we think that, oh shit, she lost an arm. Hermes, GG fam, you're losing an arm regardless tonight. But no, that did not happen. Instead, we see that Hermes is eventually pulling the guard out of the water, and we find that what she did was actually copy her arm, so while the stand did take one of its arms, there's still another one right back at it. So Hermes doesn't lose any of her actual arms. And then she's like, oh, after this, I'm never going to use my stickers like this. This is going to hurt like a bitch. And she rips the sticker off her hand, and then I guess both the hands come together into one, and blood just starts shooting out of Hermes' arm and all over it, man. And so then the stand gets pissed off. Hermes picks up the guard, and starts walking away. But then the stand splashes water on Hermes. I'm thinking it's just being a sore loser and be like, damn it. But no, we know this Stan was a clever bastard because of the water that splashed on Hermes, the Stan can now move from the lake or whatever and jump right on top of Hermes' body, or the guard's body, rather, and start sucking her up. Very clever. Clever bastard. So then after that, Hermes actually grabs one of the husks of the previous host that FF used, and then and put a sticker on it. So now there's 2 of it. Took all the sticker, the 2 copies come together, and dust is all over the place. I guess and then the husk, the dust from the husk or whatever absorbs whatever's water is left in the stand, and half of its body is disintegrating. Looked amazing, man. So that's what happened there. And also, Hermes mentioned something that it's sucking up water like a maxi pad, which correct me if I'm wrong. If I am correct in my judgment, I believe those are a type of tampons. if I'm correctly. Any women that for some reason watch my videos, please correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. Or she also said I think she also said like water in a desert or something. But anyway, then we get back to Jolene, where she opens the door into the shed. I gotta say, I loved her fucking pose when she opens the door, man, and that close up on her face, man. It reminded me very much like a western, a spaghetti western, when the outlaw just busts into the tavern, just looks around, man. Reminded me a lot, which makes sense because, as you guys know, Jotaro was a Rocky-based Jotaro off of the Man with No Name, Clint Eastwood's character in the Man with No Name trilogy, which I actually recently watched those films on HBO Max when they were on there. I watched them when they were just about to leave. If you guys follow me on Twitter, and like I said, those are some fantastic films, man. And you can see a lot. If you go back and watch this movie, if you haven't already, you can definitely see a lot of Jotaro in Clint Eastwood's character, man. Fantastic films. Definitely check them out, guys. My favorite is The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, if you're wondering. But anyway, so after Jolie makes her way inside, you have all these sinks and like hoses and shit, having water going down on the floor. And so as FF is grabbing the tire and putting it on top of the tractor, after he like busts up another sink to have more water coming, it's like, will you step into this puddle and die, or will you run away? Which way would you like to die? And Jolene does the absolute power move and just steps right into the puddle. And she asks, if we're asking questions, I got a couple of my own. Who exactly is Pale Snake? And what does he think to achieve by bringing all the discs together? My, you're an interesting one. Seriously, I love FF's voice. Seriously, whoever voices him the dub, man, shout out to them. I love the voice they got for him. Anyway, so we find out that FF knows basically nothing about Pale Snake, and then Jolene uses Stone Ocean to like just starts like going with a flurry of punches, which FF just blocks them all like he's fucking Neo, you know. And then Jolene tries to use her thread and goes near the tractor, but he manages to cut it off. And so then he has like arms and other goo shit coming from the water. He's like, you idiot! This water has already become a part of my body. And so like it like starts wrapping around her throat, and then it goes through like her eyes or something. It looked weird, man. I was like, bro, what the fuck am I looking at? It's like on her teeth and shit. It looked weird. But anyway, then the goo that's around her throat like forms into like his arm basically, and that's when he's like, did you think, what were you going to use flour to absorb the water? I give you credit, but no matter. And so, as he's going up, Jolene says, you've already stepped in the water. That means you've already lost. And then we find out that Jolene's thread actually managed to turn the tractor on and have it drive away from him as this dude was doing his spiel with Jolene. He's like, what? You bitch! And then he drops her and then starts running after the tractor, while also Hermes is also running towards the tractor to get the CDs as well. So he's like screaming, hooping, and hollering, cursing every name in the book as he's trying to get to Hermes. But we find out that because he's far away from water and the soil is like kind of mushy or whatever it is, or fertile, I don't know, I'm not a fucking gardener. Anyway, it ends up absorbing more and more in the water till there's next nothing, till where he can barely move, and he like as the last guy he tries to grab at the tractor, but he ends up letting go as he's just cursing. So then Hermes is like, all right, fuck you, asshole, and like he grabs like a handful of dirt and is about to throw it at him to obviously fully absorb the water and obviously fully kill him. But Jolene actually uses her thread to break it off. And it falls down to the ground. And Hermes is obviously, we're like, what the fuck are you doing, Jolene? And Jolene then grabs at like the bottom of her jacket and then just starts twisting it around, letting the water come out of it onto FF. And obviously, Hermes is wondering, what the fuck is she doing? So then she says that, and then Jolene just says, I'm giving it water. She's like, yeah, but what? And like, essentially, I'm saving it. And that's when Jolene kind of takes pity on the creature, saying that obviously it doesn't really have, it's kind of innocent, all this. Like, yes, as Hermes mentioned, they killed like 3 people, but he didn't do it because of malicious. Like, the one that's actually responsible for all this is indeed Pale Snake. He's most likely just there, just used as a pawn, basically. So, and because that it was really only protecting the disc just because it gave him intelligence, not so much for Pale Snakes there. So that's when Jolene tried to strike a deal with FF to just, instead of protecting the CDs for Pale Snake to protect them from her, and she doesn't want to take them. She just wants the ones for Jotaro, obviously. And so from there, Jolie finds Star Platinum's disc. Just Star Platinum, not the one with Jotaro's memory. So she puts it inside of her. You see, and then the DCD just shoots out of her, which throws her right into the tractor. And then, as they try to keep going looking for the rest of the other CDs, they can't find Jotaro's memories. So that's when FF comes back, dressed as the girl that with the green hair that blew up earlier on the episode, which I found it kind of hilarious, finding humorous that FF said that she was the only body that was still usable, because she blew the fuck up in the last episode, if you guys don't remember. She got blown the fuck up. So I find it hilarious that he's like, oh, this is the only body I could use. Okay. So anyway, we find out more about her, and we find out that apparently her dream since she was a child was to get kidnapped. Yes, you heard that right, ladies and gentlemen. She said her dream since being a child was to be kidnapped. And so what she did, and I guess this is how she got into prison, is because she just kidnapped a random child just like she would have liked to be kidnapped. There was no ransom, nothing. She just did it for the hell of it. This is a woman that clearly reads too much fan fiction. Weird fan fiction at that, ladies and gentlemen. Who the fuck goes around as a kid thinking, you know what, I want to be kidnapped. I want to be taken in a white van by a man that says, I got candy, kid. You know? It's like, what the fuck are you doing on Wattpad, woman? What are you reading? What weird-ass Twilight shit are you reading? What weird-ass Twilight fan fiction are you reading, woman? Because that's the only reason why I can think why your mind would be like this, man, is if you read Twilight fan fiction. But anyway, after all it's said and done, FF notices that both Jolene and Hermes' arms are bleeding. It's like, oh, I wish I could heal you, but I can't. And then she straight up just starts licking the blood off of Jolene and Hermes' arms. Obviously, Jolene then knees her in the stomach, like, hey, don't lick us. And then she lands right on the palm of her. She says, water, and starts licking it like she's a freaking dog. And that's also we find out that, I forgot to mention this a little bit earlier, but we also found that Hermes is planning on keeping this body and coming back with Jolene and Hermes. Or FF is going to keep the body to come back with Jolene and Hermes back to the prison. And so that's when Hermes says, yeah, there's going to be a couple of things you're going to need to learn before we go back to the prison. One of them is to drink out of a cup. She's like, oh, drink out of a cup, you say something easy peasy. And then she grabs this cup that was next to a faucet, turns it on, and just starts drinking it. like it's nothing, man. Anyway, after that, we find out more about the CDs, and we found that the CDs that were here in the shed are basically the junk pile. These are CDs that they can't use because they just won't. They're just not compatible with the user, with whatever user Pale Snake wants to use them for. And we also find that because this Pale Snake doesn't really visit the shed all that often. So then the sirens are playing. Obviously, the guards are coming in their way, and so then they got to figure out what to do with the disc. And because as Irma says, it's a lot harder to get a disc to get something out of the prison than it is to get something into the prison. And she also wants to get this back to Speedwild Foundation so they can revive Jotaro. Yada yada yada. So FF ends up the one that takes the disc, and actually what she does is just basically bumps up her boobs a couple sizes, and then just sandwiches the disc between her tits. So then the guards arrive, Jolene, everyone puts their hands up, and they said the story that alligator viciously mauled the guard, and that we are the ones that saved him. So that's the story they're going with. And the guards come in there, they got their guns out and everything, and yeah. So we end the episode up by finally figuring out who is the stand user behind Pale Snake. And so the dude, so he's like, I wonder if it was Jolene by herself that was the reason that thwarted my plans. So then goes on about that as he's trying to, and he has like these pictures of Jolene and Hermes along with FF as well, or I guess whatever the chick's original name was before. Flipping on her name. Anyway, this guard comes in there and says, hey, Father, we're leaving, the sun's down, and we got to get going. Are you really that concerned about prisoners that went missing? So then we find his name is Father Pucci, and that's when we finally get a look at who I'm assuming is going to be the main villain for Part 6. Now, the interesting thing about Father Pucci, at least here who he's voiced by in the dub, is that he is voiced by Young Yeah, as in the gaming YouTuber Young Yeah. Like, Bro, when I went on, I don't know if I mentioned this in my review for the first episode or not, but when I saw that news when I was looking up the dubcast for part 6, just out of curiosity, when I saw Young Yeah, and I was like, wait, what? Young Yeah? As in the gaming YouTuber Young Yeah? The guy I used to religiously watch during the development of Phantom Pain, Young Yeah! And yeah, it's him, man. He apparently does voice acting on the side now, which, to be fair, he has talked about this before. Like, I know he mentioned, like, he did, like, a video where it was, like, reviewing, where it was, like, watching his old videos from, like, a previous channel, where he used to do his videos with a British accent, because apparently, I guess voice acting is something he's always wanted to do, I guess, or something dabble in, and yeah, man, and now he's in fucking JoJo, voicing the main villain. That's so crazy. We've gone from DC Douglas to Kellen Jeff to Young fucking Yeah for the JoJo villain. Seriously, it's crazy. It's crazy to see who Viz or whoever gets to voice the villains for JoJo. Like, we had Patrick, what's his name, for part 3. You had for Dio, you know. Then we had DC Douglas, fucking Albert fucking Wesker as Yoshikage Kira for part 4. Then we have Overhaul, Kellen Jeff, for Diavolo in part 5. And now we got a fucking YouTuber voicing the villain of part 6. It's crazy, just like, no in the background. It's crazy just seeing who, I mean, all of them have done fantastic jobs. Young, yeah, love his voice. I think he fits really well with the character. I like what I heard from, like, at least this little snippet of it. Sure, I'm sure we're going to hear more of him in the future episodes, especially once we get to the next batch of episodes and such. But, like, it was just so weird when I heard, like, bro, I'm like, bro, I watched this man's content. I used to watch him religiously during Phantom Pain's development, and yet here he is in fucking JoJo's. I mean, shout out to him, man. Shout out to him. Shout out to Young, yeah, man. You love to see YouTubers, you know, fulfill their dreams and get to higher and higher places, man. You love to see it. Unless it's Logan Paul and Jake Paul. Fuck those two. Logan Paul, I will say, I have eased up on Logan Paul. He's obviously grown up since the shit in Japan, but Jake Paul, fuck him. Fuck him. Fucking pussy. Anyway. Anyway, that all the way, guys. That's basically where the episode ends, man. And yeah, phenomenal episode, man. Like I said, Young Yeah is voicing the main villain for part 6. I'm still in shock about that, man. Like I said, from what I've heard, he's done a great job. Love what I'm hearing, man. It's just crazy when you see a YouTuber you grew up watching and now here he is in fucking JoJo. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. But anyway, guys, that is where I'm going to get this video off. Overall, I'm going to give this episode a 9.5 out of 10, guys. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you did, subscribe if you're new. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter for links to the description box below. And as always, come out for more. See you guys next time.